Good day, critters, new and old. My name is David. This is Mana and Maple, and I have changed my camera setup a little bit. This is my theory video, and there's a couple things that I want to cover. But before I do that, I want to thank my single Patreon, Michael Van Elgort, and I appreciate him signing up for that. And with that, we're going to move on to the theory video overall. I think one of the things that I want to start off with is um, Wick had a one that got away. And my purpose for this is I think that when I don't know, I even know how to say this. Wick and Hal were very close, and there's a lot of like good closeness inside there that has a lot of tension built into it because of the plot. I think that, this is a shot in the dark, but what if Wick's one that got away, that he has the picture of, the commoner that was not meant to be, what if that's Shadia? What if that is specifically Hal's daughter and one of the reasons why they became so close in the first place? And I think that that's really interesting. That would mean a few things: that Hal did diction for Wick back when Tierney first came on, because he was there to help a friend who meant a lot to him in a specific space and time. I wonder about that pretty deeply, and I think that maybe, I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I would love to see Wick really have his heart set on a woman who we can't actually ship him at the table, meaning that he is holding himself on now that he is not really, he doesn't have to go into the family business. He doesn't have to go into the family arrangements, and he doesn't have to do that arranged marriage to a Becca that he did not want to do. Those three things kind of says to me that I don't think Sam's going to romance someone at the table. I think that Sam is going to play his character true to vest and style, and he's going to have that romance kind of tucked away in his backstory, and he's going to stay true to it because that's the type of character that Wick is. Um, Next up, now that Wick and we're going to stay on the Wick thing for a second, but now that Wick and Tierney have skipped town, how long do we think it's going to be until the Halavars start sending people after Wick specifically? That is going to happen relatively quickly, I think, and is going to be a thorn in the side of the soldiers specifically as they go out and about. I know that Yanessa really wants to keep up with what the Taconuses are doing, in a keeping up with the Joneses sort of way, but Yanessa et al., and that's everybody inside there from Goddard down to Zabina, the new sister to Iris, the mother, to Sir Felonius Halavar, the uncle. I think all of them are still going to continue to do power struggles, but they're going to step up their game a little bit, and they're going to start putting more emphasis on the masses, which is going to, whoever the seeker is inside here and the schemers are, that's going to put a lot of emphasis on their table as they step up production as well, of making sure everybody, all the demons and all the other faces that they have, are doing extra work since they lost their scion and their face person. Um, Boy, next up, uh, I really do think, and this is about Bolaire specifically, we're seeing a common thread or a common theme in the people who I think are going to be geared up and put onto one table. Hal has this kind of weight put over him that says, "Hey, um, we could take the Dithyrem of Asgra, the hallowed round, away from you at any given time, and we're going to change the rules about what you can and cannot do inside there." We have Murray, who has had her world turned upside down by Tall Barrel being replaced. And then we have Azune, who has his world turned upside down by Sir Herondus Einfausen coming in and saying, we're going to go ahead and privatize parts of the Revolutionary Guard. I think something wild is going to happen to Bolaire's museum, and they're going to start installing more Sundered House people into that specific space. I think that that's wild for a few reasons. But the majority of what I think on this, excuse me, hiccups, is Bolaire has a lot of secrets that we don't know. He's got a lot of things going on with him that he doesn't know. And with the coffin of Albalad sitting inside there, I think that Bolaire is going to have a bad thing happen to him, especially if Taconis gets into this idea that, well, sure, they have this the Stone of Night song, but it also appears that Taconis is gathering those things as well. Um, what if they do a raid on the museum and they try to steal the coffin of Obalad from him? That will really make Bolaire kind of he's the only one who hasn't had parts of his life turned upside down by what's happening in the game. Everybody else except for Bolaire has had that happen, and he's coming. It's gonna happen to him, and it's gonna happen to him next game. I guarantee it. Well, I don't guarantee anything. I think it's strongly gonna happen. Um, with that, we'll move into Taconis and their next moves. Um, if they really get away with putting that stone inside um, Octus where it belongs, it kind of makes me think that Taconis's, on the whole, have those psychopomp specific entities locked away in their chests, and that's where their sorceress power comes from. That may or may not be true, but I think after whatever happens in episode 4, Taconis is going to make simultaneous moves on the Royce family, and they're going to make simultaneous moves against probably the Loy Wings specifically, as they kind of crack down on anyone who is associated with the Ozzy Fang. I think they're really going to go out for blood on that, and I think that honestly, this dovetails really well with me and Thiazi's and why he was collecting those relics as well. I think that he and Taconis were racing towards picking up as many of these older relics that are about moving souls onward, and they use it for different reasons. I think Taconis needs those because the land of the dead is being choked with souls and things, and it may be interfering with their ability to run their house as effectively as possible. So they need to have as many of those passageways to the realms beyond and to the dead as possible because it may make their traditional home unusable to them. I think Thiazi is doing it for a separate reason, and he's doing it for two reasons. One, he has Thimble, and Thimble can't get through to the door to Fairy because that's closed, and we learned recently that that closed because there's so many souls in the world right now, people who have died that can't go into the realms beyond and the dawn beyond, that the door to Fairy closed because it was going to die from all that negative energy. And I believe Thiazi wants to remove or wanted to remove a lot of those things, those entities that were stopping the door from being open so that Thimble could go home. But on the flip side of that, I think the dual purpose in that is that Thiazi was married to Lady Aranessa, and her golden orchard is an estate that straddles the line between the fairy realm and the real realm, and he wanted to help her make her realm more vibrant and alive because again those souls of the dead are choking the world in various different ways, and I think that that's going to be a central point to this campaign overall. I think that either the schemers or the seekers are going to be figuring out what to do about all the souls that are choking this world. um let's see. I did Boulder in the Museum, Wick in the One, Tacona, Alavar. What is Thiazi doing? Uh, kind of backing into that, Lady Aranessa is Fey protected. We know that her bloodline is Fey protected, and the Royce family on the whole is Fey protected. But what does that mean for her? We know this is spoilers, obviously, and this contains a little bit of spoilers inside the whole video. We know that Lady Aranessa gave Thimble to Thiazi when they got married, saying that they are protected by the Fae. We know that the estate of the Palacio de Vinos has uh, plants in it that come from the Fae. We know that they are connected. The Golden Orchard sits inside that realm. Um, Lady Aranessa herself is Fae protected. Um, Two things. What if she's got like an army of pixies hanging around? That'd be rad. But I don't think that that's going to be it. I think Lady Aranessa is essentially a Fae sorceress, where a lot of her powers, so as Taconis, their powers come from the realms of the dead, and they are all in this kind of necromantic white revenant sort of situation. And the Halivars are going the route of how do you say this? The Halivars are inventing something that I want to call um, like they got a magical CRISPR. They are taking celestial blood or spit or essence of the universe and using it to CRISPR creatures and people, creating uh, celestial human and celestial animal hybrids, which is going to go wrong. It's going to go wrong one day because they don't know what they're doing. But Lady Arnessa, in that same vein, is protected by Fae, so I think that she has powers that are relevant in insofar as like control of plants, more druidic in nature, or is a innate spellcaster who casts wild fey induced trickery and domains around trickery and using shifting winds. But I think that she's gonna turn around and be kind of like a solid, pardon the phrasing on this, but a solid badass in that regard. And in that badassery that she does, is going to help these guys escape. That being said, I think that um, only one of the table assignments is going to stay in the city. I believe that it would be weird to have Hal and Taisha be in separate groups and never see each other um, in their first individual arcs. So I think that whatever group is over at Palacio de Vinos is going to leave the city. And I think it sounds like with all those people inside there, and if Lady Aranessa survives, they'll probably fall back to the Golden Orchard. Especially if all those people from the Golden Orchard are there to help them out. Also makes me think, where is Julian training Alligar? Is Julian training Alligar at the Golden Palace? Or not the Golden Palace, the Golden Orchard? Or is Julian training Alligar, who is Taisha's son with Hal, is he training Alligar in Palacio de Vinos? And is Alligar going to fight in this battle that's happening with Taconis as they raid this um, estate looking for Octus and killing everybody else? If Alligar is there, I think he dies. He is the NPC or the child of the main characters of Hal and Taisha. We have heard and seen the least of, the least interaction. We know Hero is following after her dad. We know Shadia is following after her dad. But we know that Alligar moved away and did something different. By moving away and doing something different, Alligar is really being placed up there as a sacrifice to galvanize Taisha. When I say galvanize Taisha, she knows that things are happening, and she's such a mother that her fury at Taconis will make her have to get along with Julian because they have a common enemy. And I think that that's how that's going to go. Um, Speaking of Julian, Julian's build out reminds me of a pirate villainess that I made for a home game, and she was also a fighter rogue hybrid. There's a lot of talk around the internet that he's going to be an Echo Knight Soul Knife. I think that he's going to go a little bit different, especially because he's using a rapier. I think he's doing that to give himself advantage so that on subsequent attacks he can go ahead and do sneak attack. Uh, Julian feels like a 1v1 character. So he and Thiazi go to blows, and he wins out because he's built for single target damage. Um, in that regard, my thought is Julian will go. The one that I really enjoyed was hero to 5 to get a second attack, to get 2 attacks, and then swashbuckler to 8 was as far as this particular villain went. In that regard, what happens is you end up with a character who crits on 19s and 20s, who their weapon gives you and opens up an attack for your next ability to do sneak attack. Once per round, you can do a regular attack, and then outside of that, you can then go ahead and do sneak attack on your second attack. And you don't need anybody to be around you. You can just isolate a single target, destroy a single target. Isolate a single target, destroy a single target. That is honestly, for someone who says that he's like the who thinks of himself as the epitome of sword mastery inside his family and is good enough to train and good enough to capture. That's kind of the route that I think that he's going to go down. That feels right to me. I don't know. I think I'm alone in this, where a champion swashbuckler would destroy people in opposition. And with that, I think we're going to start and well, we started already. We're going to finish up and go to um, table assignments and the scope of what I think they will be doing. I think that, and this is a personal feeling, but I think the seekers are all the ones who have jobs in the city, who have levers that they can pull to get more information. We know that Murray has contacts all over because she used to be a squatter and she worked at the Penteveral, and the Penteveral does a lot of outreach to commoners because commoners have the ability to learn magic the traditional way versus nobles who are gifted their magic from ancestry. We have Bolaire with his multitude of contacts and his deep archival ability to look things up. We have Hal, who I still swear is a lore or maybe even a tragedy bard and is not a swords bard. There's a lot of talk around what Hal is and what he's doing specifically, but I believe that Hal is a knowledge based bard, someone who will absolutely double down on being the smartest guy in the room and the one who can seek out and sense new information. And then Azune, who is a well connected, very well connected member of the Revolutionary Guard. He hit lieutenant. He knows the ins and the outs. He makes patrols all over the place. He knows how to talk to people. And I think that he's probably like the bright spot of this entire campaign, the most optimistic, most himbo-ish, friendliest guy that there is. I think that that is one table. I think that's the Seekers. I think that because they aren't yet. They may, but so far they have not been pressured with violence. They've been pressured with outside forces, but they haven't been pressured with violence specifically. Whereas we're going to see with Julian, Valus, Octus, and Taisha, they are being pressured with violence. That violence is coming to their home, and it's not something that they can help. But this is a secret strike in the shadows and not an open move towards them. And because Taconis is sending invisible people and silenced ghouls and trying to make this a hush hush environment, I think that these guys are the schemers specifically. And I say that for a few reasons. One, they have all this violence put on them in a non this is what we're going to be doing sort of way. It's not like Taconis said, we're going to go ahead and raid the Royce family. Taconis told no one, said they were looking for Octus, raided the Royce compound, and raided the Royce compound 20 minutes after Octus got there. Octus wasn't there for a long time at all, and he got found almost immediately. So that tells me that Taconis was making moves on Royce already. Sorry about that. The other reason that I think that This is the schemers table. Is we have Matthew Mercer, who is a DM and spent many long years trying to figure out ways to bring lore, yeah, but also create a storyline that his players never saw coming. In that same vein, we have Alex Ward, who does the same thing for um, World of Darkness, which is Vampire the Masquerade stuff. He's got a long running campaign inside that. And he does the same thing. DMs try to find a storyline that they can tell that their players can't see the back end of. And that, for me, is a scheming sort of mentality, or someone who likes puzzles. We know that, like, Matthew Mercer proposed to Marisha Ray in a custom escape room. That is a schemer to me. That's not a knowledge person to me. That's a schemer to me. I think that all four of those, like the intrigue of the game and like the cloak and dagger. I think Valus, I think Ashley's just along for the ride because she wants to be like a protector of these people who are have to watch out from multiple different angles. In fact, Ashley's playing a stranger in a strange land, so to speak, because she comes from Mornvale, way up north in the wastes, where Cylindri, the shaper of life, the mother of green, where she died, last one to die. Um, I think, and this is a side one, I think Valus fought in that war for her god, and all that scarring on her, that's arcane scarring. But two, I think that she, as a stranger in a strange land, doesn't see many allies here to begin with. So I think that she's just with the schemers because she feels so isolated and alone. I think that's everything that I wanted to cover, actually. I hope that this gave you guys something to think about. And if you want to have these little lore discussions and theory discussions with me, consider joining my Discord. Otherwise, it's very nearly Thursday, and I can't wait for it. You guys have a great day.